Yo, so one of the most viewed videos on my channel is my setups video, where I go through all my setups, and they've changed quite a bit in the past few months. So let's go through, let's do an update video, go through all of them again, and I'll show you all my setups, what I'm rocking on them right now, and how they're currently riding. Let's go through it.
All right, so the first setup we're going to look at is my Hanna Dex mid mold. And this is a 34 millimeter. It is the mid shape, so it's got a little bit of a higher kicks and a deeper concave than the Hanna Mold's low. I like this deck a lot. It functions super well. It kind of reminds me of the Chems Low Pro, just in feeling a lot, similar length and just similar shape in general. And then for the trucks on here, I have dynamic 32 millimeter trucks because I like my trucks to kind of hang in a little bit underneath my deck. I feel like it makes the deck flip a little bit easier. And then I have Lightworks green bushings, glow in the dark green bushings in there, stock dynamic pivot cups, and then one of my favorite wheels, which is the Abstract Extra Minis in off-white. They're still pretty brand new, which is why they're not so dirty. They're not really off-white yet, but awesome setup. I've had it for maybe about 6 months now or so, and it functions really well. I use it a lot. It's a nice deck. I can always like kind of pick it up and count on it. So the shape is pretty. It's easy to get along with. And like I said, I can always pick it up and bust a kickflip or a clean tray flip or whatever. So it's definitely one of my go-tos when it comes to my decks. But then again, they're all my go-tos. So that's pretty much it for this one. Let's move on to one that's kind of similar, and that's going to be the Chems Low Pro, and this is a 34 millimeter. This was one of my first professional wooden fingerboards when I got back into fingerboarding about a year ago. And like I said before, this deck, this mold, really reminds me a lot of the Hanna Mid. They feel very similar. This one has a little bit of a shallower concave than the Hanna, and probably similar kick height though. They do feel really similar, I think, because the lengths are pretty much the exact same. I don't know, and the wheelbases are the exact same. I think they're shorter decks. They're a little bit shorter than like a Berlin Wood or a flat face, as you can kind of see there, the visual difference. But it functions really well. The Chems Low Pro is one of my favorite molds out there out of all the ones I've tried. Like I said before, the Hanna, I can always kind of pick it up and count on it. And I feel the same way about this one. As you can see, it's very, very worn. That's because I will pick this deck up and just start using it, and it always just functions really well. I think I've even used this one outside a couple times. That might be. Oh yeah, no, I definitely did. So that's why it has like the whole like razor tail going on there, which actually looks pretty cool if you ask me. And so yeah, nothing but great things to say about this deck. It functions really well, and it's super well made. And the graphics on Chems decks wear exceptionally well, I think. So on this setup, I have dynamic trucks, chrome base plates, dynamic stock pivot cups, and then I have Tropics hydrangea blue bushings in there. They're a little bit more firm than the Lightworks green ones, but they function pretty much all the same. And then I have the Abstract. I'm pretty sure these are extra minis. I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure these are the extra minis, and these are in tan. And I get a lot of comments about these wheels, people asking what they are or what color they are, and they are listed as tan on the Abstract website. And I gotta say, I love these wheels. I've had them for a long, long time, and they've been holding up exceptionally well. I've ridden them outdoor, I believe, mostly indoor though, and I love the little weathering marks they kind of get. They're always super smooth though, really nice, really nice screech as you can hear, and they feel pretty realistic, So Abstracts are really some of my favorite wheels, as you guys will be able to tell. I got them on a couple setups here. So let's move on. Before we get to the German setups, we'll do one more of my other ones that isn't a Berlin Wood or a Black River. So here I have my Suave Dex 29 mil, and Suave has one mold, so this is the mold that they offer, and they usually only do like 32 or 32, 33, 34, 35. but if you request one, they'll do a 29 for you. And this is mine here. They do custom graphics as well. So one day, maybe, I'm not sure yet, no promises, but I do like the feel of this deck a lot. It's nicely crafted. I would love to get some Anxiety Offline customs one day. So we'll see, no promises yet. I've never even talked to Ray about that. He's the owner of the company, but we can dream about it. So anyways, so this deck is made in the Philippines by Suave Decks, aka Ray. Really cool dude. He makes these decks by hand and he ships them out always in a very timely fashion. They're nicely packaged, have lots of extras in there. And so about the deck. This deck functions really well. This is this was my first 29 mil, and I got very, very used to it riding it. It seems to have, you can't really tell on video, in person it seems to almost have a little bit of a square, not square, but it seems to have a little bit more of a squared shape, tail, and nose than other decks do. And it's nothing noticeable. I think doesn't what am I trying to say? It's not a bad thing. It's something I've noticed riding it is it does have a little bit of a boxy shape. So if you like boxy shaped decks, but you still like popsicles, this is a great kind of deck to check out. This is a really, really good one. So you got, like I said, 29 mil, 5-ply, RealWear graphic. Haven't grinded on it too much because I do like this graphic a lot. The graphic doesn't seem to wear as intensely, I guess, as some other decks I've ridden. But then again, I haven't really grinded it too much, so I guess time will really be the main judge on that. But moving on from the deck, I have BRT 29mm trucks here, and then I replaced the pivot cups with the extra soft white BRT pivot cup. So these trucks are really loosey-goosey, not super loosey-goosey, but for me at least, they're pretty loose. And then on top of that, I have the Lightworks green bushings in here, which give you an added, loose feel. So this is one of my probably looser setups right here. But like I said, that was with a camera in front of me. It functions super well. I took it to a couple meetups and everything, so it's one that I felt confident enough to bring out in the real world with me and get clips on, and so it functions really well. I love this deck. It's even cooler that and then I have I forgot to mention the tape on my decks. So the past two, thankfully, are this is Chem's F4 tape, pretty good stuff, and then I'm pretty sure this one has rip tape or something. I honestly don't remember, but this one has the really cool ultra swaggy FBS engraved tape, and it looks like Japanese writing right there, but it actually spells out FBS, and it's got some texture on here too. And I gotta say, this texture, I wasn't a fan of how textured grip tape looked before, but this stuff feels exceptionally good, and I want to put it on more of my decks. And I have the screws here showing. I didn't used to be a fan of the screws showing, as you can see in my older setups, but in some of my newer ones, I'll explain when we get to this one. I kind of like seeing the screws show, so when I set up this one, I decided to make them show. And then lastly, for the wheels, I have my favorite. One of my it's my favorites are tied between Abstracts and Ilpils, but these are Ilpil minis, and these are really, really amazing wheels. I actually own 2 pairs of these. I own 3 pairs of the Abstracts, so I guess maybe technically I like those more. But these are really awesome wheels, super smooth, and I just like them a lot. They feel nice on indoor and outdoor, and of course you can't beat that. So Ilpil minis on there, and like it a lot. So we'll move on to my German setups here. This is my Black River setup, and this is one of my first ones I got. I got it as a Christmas present last year, 2021. Yeah, 2021. And when I first got it, it had 34mm trucks on it. It was a complete from Black River. It took a while to break in for some reason. I wasn't really a fan of it at first, but then once I broke it in, I really, really liked it. So I went ahead and switched out the 34s for 32 Black Rivers because I like 32s just better. I don't know, they're just a preference thing. I think that they feel better to me. So I put the So this is actually the original grip tape that Black River gripped it with, and I didn't really want to take it off because I feel like it just keeps feeling better and better. Although I'm gonna have to replace it soon, because now it's sort of getting holes in the back of it. Like I said, it's over a year old, so took the 34s off, put 32s on, and I decided to make the screws show because I didn't have any decks that are like that yet, and I kind of like how it looks. It's got a really nice kind of haggard aesthetic to it. And as you can see, this deck is very, very worn because I take it pretty much everywhere and use it on everything. Like if I'm going somewhere, I'll pretty much throw either this one or this one in my bag. Lately, it's been this one, and bring it with me. And it sees a lot of action. I think I brought this one to the most meetups so far. So this one's kind of been the most places. And actually, when I did the boards and brews, I met the homie Cody, aka LOL. He plays with wood. And he mentioned the setup, and he was like, "Yo, it's so cool to see it in person." So I thought that was pretty cool. People actually, are familiar with seeing this deck in videos and stuff like that. So it's one of my favorites, and it was a Christmas present from my mom. She's super special to me, so that's why this deck's probably one of my favorite ones. But I love it. I'm gonna keep it in the rotation for a long time, and I really like too how this deck has the red dyed plies in the middle, because then just the red, black, and white just goes so well together. The only thing I would really change is the pivot cups, from orange to white. I think they would look a little bit cleaner. But overall, love this setup. This is kind of all reliable right here. You can count on it all the time. And the Black River mold is, it's got some concave. It's got some dips. The kicks aren't anything crazy. But the one thing about Black River decks is the tail is obviously a lot different than the nose. You can't really tell on camera, but the tail is actually a lot smaller than the nose too. The nose is pretty big and high, so that's one thing you kind of got to get used to if you want a Black River deck. But in my opinion, these are I love all these decks equally, but I think Black River Berlinwood kind of has an upper hand just because they've been in the game for so long. So this is, they're all my favorites, but I know I keep saying it. This is another one of my favorites. So anyways, moving on. This one I got at Exodus Skate Shop over the summer at Grind Time 2. Had my eye on this one for a long, long time, and then I saw they had it, in the shop in person, so I figured it would be nice to buy it and then not have to pay shipping or anything like that. So I bought it in person, and when I bought it, it had 34 millimeter trucks on there because it was a complete, and it had the really cool Berlinwood tape. Unfortunately, I took that tape off because I got some 32 BRTs to put on there. And I ended up selling the 34s on my website. So someone out there watching this might be riding those 34s right now. So this one's been through a lot of changes. Not a lot, but definitely a couple. So I changed the trucks out. Now it's got 32s on there. It's got green lightwork, glow-in-the-dark bushings. And then for a long time, it had flat-face G8 wheels. But lately, I really like the softer feel of urethane. And this deck especially feels kind of realistic in a weird way. It probably sounds nerdy, I don't know, but the urethane kind of adds to that. So now I've been riding it with the abstracts on here, and this deck feels amazing. This is probably gonna be my next thrashed setup for 2023. I think I'm gonna maybe kind of put this one I'm gonna try to put it over here and maybe pull this one out a little bit more. Super fun deck. They're virtually the same, just besides for the wheels and the tape, pretty much. Same mold, same shape and everything. The one thing I love is graphics. I have a hard time grinding it. I got this thing last summer, and as you can see, it pretty much still looks brand new, especially on camera there. You really can't see any of the blemishes. But I promise, this year, I'm going to fingerboard the heck out of this one. So look for it in a bunch of my future edits. And you gotta admit, this is one beautiful setup right here, at least I think. So my last German setup here is my brand new Black River 29 mil. I got this one as a Christmas present, and it's got the FBS tape on top, so it's still pretty new. Got it for Christmas. I've been using it a lot, kind of going back and forth between these two, trying to figure out which one I like more. But there's really no contest. They're both amazing in their own respective ways. It's just kind of a preference thing. So the Berlinwood Black River 29 mil shape is pretty similar to the extra wide, as far as dips and tail height and all that stuff kind of goes. You can kind of see there. Dips are virtually the same, and then you got that high nose, low tail. And I'm not sure if you can tell on camera, but The nose, or I'm sorry, the tail is a little bit, shorter, smaller. So on this one, 29 millimeter 3.0 Black River trucks. Can you see the skull there? Got a flex. 3.0 trucks, and I gotta say, there's virtually no difference between the 3.0s and the 2.0s. At least in my opinion, I think they're pretty much the same. They function the same. I love BRTs, so I don't know, can't go wrong. Got the yellow pivot cups in here because I bought another pack of pivot cups. Ended up being the hard ones. I had no idea, so I ended up replacing these with the stock yellow ones. Green Lightworks bushing because it matches perfectly, with the, I mean, not perfectly because it's got red plies, but at least it matches the bottom, super well. And then on this one, I have my second pair of Ilpil minis, which I adore. I want to try the street ones, but the minis I already have a set of, so now I got 2 extra wheels. So that's the thing with Ilpils, like once you start buying one kind, you're probably going to keep buying it, because they give you one extra one. So eventually, if you buy 4 sets, you'll have a free set of wheels. But anyway, that's the 29 mil. Pretty similar to the other Berlin Woods I have here. Just the only difference is it's a 29, and these are 33.3s, aka extra wides. I do want to try the extra wide. I'm sorry, the 32 low. I had a 33 low. I still got it in the catalog and the archives back there, but I retired it for now, and so yeah, these are my 3 main German setups right here. So lastly, let's move on to probably my favorite fingerboard that I have ever tried, ever. This is just, it's a preference thing, it's just going to depend. You're going to try, that's the thing about fingerboarding, it's expensive, and you kind of got to try different things to figure out what you like the best, but once you figure it out, you're definitely going to be able to tell. And this is one of those decks that, like, whenever I pick up, it always just feels amazing. It's one of those decks I always try to keep perfectly, like, maintained. This was my first wooden fingerboard, and I got back into fingerboarding just over a year ago. If you go back on my channel far enough, you'll see, like, the second or third video is me actually setting this one up when it was stock. And I had no idea how much this fingerboard would actually change like the way I look at hobbies. It's really crazy. So this was the first one I got, and I was super stoked to get a G15. I originally, when I got it, I thought like, oh, cool, the G15 will pretty much be exactly like a Berlin would, just maybe a little bit different. But I was wrong. They're very different. Wheelbases are slightly different. G15 is a longer wheelbase, as well as being shorter, which is somehow weird because it feels longer. But the G15 is really an amazing deck. I know they're kind of expensive to get, completes or whatever, but it's just, they're very accessible. They're usually always in stock. And here's a quick pro tip. You can't request a color, but if you put in the seller notes a couple colors that you would like to have, like if you were to buy one and you list it out, hey, do you have any teal, blue, red, or yellow decks handy? Then you'll probably get one of those colors. When I ordered this one, I put in the seller notes, do you have anything turquoise or blue? And I was so stoked to open this thing up and see this amazing turquoise, vibrant, bluish ocean color. It looks just like the ocean to me. That's why I never put any stickers on it because it just looks so pristine. I'm sorry I keep kind of dragging on, but I really think so highly of these decks. I just really want to get that across in this video. So, and then again, maybe they need their own video. So this deck has 32 millimeter Black River trucks. A lot of people ask, what trucks do you have on your G15? Do you have 34s or 32s? I have 32s. It's a preference thing. I think it helps the board flip a little bit better. And then I saw the other day on Mike Schneider's Instagram page, he posted a new G15.12 setup. And they're the same width, 33.3 or 33.6. And he had 32 millimeter BRTs on there. So I was interested / stoked, to see he uses the same trucks on there. So I think 32s on a G15 really are the sweet spot in my opinion, because you have no overhang, and they're perfect. They're perfectly flush, but just with like a millimeter hanging in. So you can't really visually tell but it just feels really nice, you know, when you go to pop and stuff. So on this deck, I have classic Rip Tape. This Rip Tape is pretty old because I feel like Rip Tape actually gets better as it kind of wears in. But it will hit a point where it starts to kind of, you know, develop little rat eating holes, kind of like that. It looks like a rat's been eating at the tape there. But either way, it's great tape. It's probably my favorite tape besides like FBS. I think Rip Tape and FBS are probably the best stuff out there in my opinion. Lightworks green bushings just because it matches perfectly, and then I have the infamous flat face J line hand J4 whatever they're called wheels on here, and these wheels are amazing. They claim to be plastic, but they function, feel, and sound just like urethane. When I got them, they were a little bit lighter in color, but as you kind of use them or wear them in, they kind of turn more of like a tan, yellowy color, which is kind of cool. And the dirtier they get, the more they pick up kind of these like tracks on here, which these wheels don't pick up the tracks as much as other ones do, like the abstracts, but they do still pick up some. So it kind of gives it like a cool, like, realistic look to it. And the only downfall with these wheels, I feel like, is because they're so soft. Some of them feel like there's a little bit of like a give between, like the nut is all the way tight, but there's still a little bit of like a looseness in there. So it's like the material is just so soft. I mean, the bearing can't be seated in there perfectly forever. I'm not really sure, but either way, they're holding up really nicely. And these are like my favorite wheels right now. So I think when Flat Face drops another drop of them, whenever they do, might not be for like another year or two, but I think I'm definitely gonna scoop one more set because I like these wheels a lot. I'd like to have them on like a Berlinwood or a Chems or a G1512. So we'll see. But that is all my pro setups. So we're gonna quickly kind of run through my tech decks real fast. So those are my pro setups. So that might end the video for most people here. But if you want to see a couple extras, we're gonna go through those now. Honorable mention, I didn't mention this one, I don't ride it as much anymore. This is my Chems 35mm Low Pro with Chems F4 tape, Black River 34mm trucks, and Il Pil resin wheels, and I also have the Lightworks green bushings. And quick story time, so I originally was going to sell these trucks because I don't like 34s. But then I was like, you know what, I want to try a 35, and those would fit perfectly on there. So I ended up copping 35, putting those on there. And it does feel pretty good. It's like a nice outdoor setup. These wheels are my favorite wheels for riding outdoor. They're just the best. They function really well. But the deck is pretty wide. I kind of like thinner decks now, so I don't ride it as much. But I do keep it still put together in the collection because sometimes I'll kind of grab it and just kind of start messing around with it. Or I think when summer comes around, I'll probably take it back outside again. And it functions well. I love my smaller trucks and bigger decks, and this is kind of a little experiment idea I had, and it turned out really well. So there's that one. We're going to go through these ones very quickly. So this is a 26mm tech deck from when I was a kid. I got 26mm tech deck trucks on here, Lightworks green bushings, Tech Deck Performance wheels, and then I have Anxiety Offline tape there on top. Pretty fun deck. It's a 26, but it totally shreds. And so yeah, awesome deck. Jeff Raleigh was one of my favorite skaters growing up, so when I wanted to set up a tech deck, I very easily chose this one. And I have a bunch of Jeff Raleigh decks. Like I said, he's my favorite. Flip was my favorite, so I got a bunch of old Flip decks. And this is probably the coolest one, though, I think. That one's pretty badass. Next up, quickly, got my 3D color changing, whatever it is, deck with some Anxiety Offline tape on here and some green bushings. This thing functions pretty well for being a super chunky snow skate feeling fingerboard. And then lastly, I have my two Mellow Tech Deck setups. They're pretty similar. This one is a Tech Deck Real, I think it is, Ishod Wear deck. I thought it was twin tail when I got it, but I don't think it is. This is the nose, this is the tail. China trucks, Hydrangea Blue Tropics bushings, and I have Black River blank blank Street Dogs on here, and they feel pretty good. So this deck functions really well. It's nice little one to just mess around with. And then I got my Disorder deck here. Little experiment on this one. I tried out like a little different grip job there. I don't usually do that kind of stuff, but look kind of cool. Anxiety Offline tape, Tech Deck wheels, and then on this one I have the Tech Deck 29mm truck. So I got a little bit of an indentation, a little bit of a deck overhang there. Hydrangea blue bushings. I got some Grind FB matching Hydrangea pivot cups. Those are for sale on my website right now. And then I put in these Grind fingerboards tuning screws, which are really cool because this is my favorite tech deck right now because of the fact that you can actually grind it and there's no like interference. Like these feel so amazing. Like these literally feel so amazing to grind on. They're so smooth. So those kingpins make a big difference. Kind of annoying to get in or on. Kind of annoying to get in or on, whatever. You might ruin a base plate in the process, but once you get it, super rewarding. Oh my goodness! I wish every tech deck had these inverted kingpins.
Yo, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe if you like the content on this channel. I make daily shorts as well as weekly longer videos just like this. So if you want to get involved in the community we're here creating, hit the subscribe button, join the Discord, leave a comment, leave a like, all that good stuff. All the support really means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. And don't forget, check out anxietyoffline.com. I do sell obstacles as well. And also, I'm curious, let me know down below in the comments which one of these setups was your favorite. Which fingerboard that I have is your absolute favorite one, whether it was a tech deck, pro setup, which one out of all of them is your favorite? Which one would you like to ride? I'm just curious to see which one you guys think is the coolest. So with all that, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Peace.